A very good day to you. This is, of course, Jamie on the chat wrap right here on Relax Radio. Now, we are all about that positivity. We are all about ensuring that you have the best possible day. So, if you want to feel a little motivated, if you want a little bit of spice in your life, all you got to do is make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. And listen, you can take us with you wherever that you go. It's super simple. All you got to do is make sure that you download our app on your phone because it's available absolutely free of charge on iOS and Android. So make sure that you download our app so that you can feel motivated, that you can keep yourself updated wherever that you go. With that being said, we have a lot of interesting conversation that is happening here at Relax Radio. We speak about politics, we speak about current affairs, we give you some motivation to ensure that you are having the best day possible. So if you want to connect with me, if you want to be a part of the conversation, it's super simple. All you got to do is connect with me on social media or call me on WhatsApp or connect with me on any of our social media platforms, that is Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as well. Now, with that being said, I want to talk about something very interesting and something that is quite relevant to our times, and that is how exactly to stay creative in these trying times. Now, okay, let me talk to you about my personal experience. I am, in general, an extremely creative person, but with COVID 19, with lockdown, with isolation, it definitely did take a huge toll on my creativity, right? And I felt like that was the case for a lot of people out there because we are working from home, because we interact with people so much less than usual. It definitely feels monotonous. Life definitely feels monotonous, and that impacts how creative we are, and that definitely impacts how motivated we are as well. And I feel like over the last 7 months with COVID-19 virus, I feel like our worlds in general have become much smaller. We are working from home, and it's morphed into something that was once a novelty, but now is super mundane and boring and monotonous. Now, traveling for a bit business or pleasure was once something that we did for fun and we could do anytime we wanted to, but it has now become virtually non existent. I'm extremely happy that things are going back to normal, at least up to a certain extent as of now, but there is so many restrictions that we have to face in our everyday life. Now, the sameness and the lack of novelty in our COVID existence can negatively impact our creativity, okay? Our ability to put ideas together in this new and useful combinations to solve problems, it can be minimized because, like I told you, we interact with people so much less and we are bound to the exact same space that we are there 24/7. Now, creativity in general, I feel like, is often enhanced when we're exposed to new situations. Um, Okay, let me give you an example. For example, in one experiment, when you use virtual reality, there was this article that I read that a lot of researchers divided participants into three different groups. Now, the first group was exposed to a wild simulation that defied the laws of physics. You know, they walked in this room that was filled with objects. Rather than gravity pulling them up, these objects actually approached them. Now, the second group of people were placed in a similar simulation, but the objects that were around them behaved normally. So they faced a very normal day to day situation. And the third group of people actually watched a film clip of the first group's simulation. So three different groups and three different experiments that were conducted, right? Now, the participants in the first group showed an increased cognitive flexibility, which is an essential part of creativity, while the others did not. So basically, what I'm trying to say to you through this experiment, what proved to me as an individual, was the fact that when you're exposed to new situations, when you see things that you haven't seen before, and when you interact with experiences that you haven't experienced before, you become cognitively more flexible. You learn about new things and you start to think creatively. Now, with COVID 19, like I told you before, this is something that we are not experiencing because our lives have become super mundane and we're living the same routine day in and a day out. And additional to all of this, I also feel like we're under a lot of stress right now, from worries about, are we going to have a job in the future, to worries about our health and our loved ones, to our children's education, whatever it is, we are under so much more stress than we were a few years back. And all of these adds up to this creativity crisis that we as a generation are facing. Now I've told you how hard it is. Now I've told you how it's super hard for us to form new ideas because of what's going on. But what I want to give you is a solution. I want to give you how you can. I want to give you ways and means of how you can stay creative when life has taken this turn, quite a negative turn to say the least. Now, the first thing that I want to remind you is how you can harness your negative emotions. Now, a growing number of psychologists and brain scientists are saying that there is evidence that negative emotions can be a vital component of our emotional toolkit, to say the least. Now, they're saying, according to these articles that I just read a few minutes back, apparently anger in particular can be a motivating force. So you focus your mind and moods in a productive way and fooling us to achieve goals. Now, I don't know you, but I find this super real when it comes to my life as well. Especially when I'm feeling negative emotions. It's not just me. I've had a lot of coworkers who've told me this. I've had a lot of friends who've spoken to me about this. When you do have negative emotions, it's a normal thing. Every single person feels angry. Every single person feels sorrow, feels grief, feels depressed at certain points. But I guess the difference between successful people and not so successful people is that they harness these negative emotions to do something good. Now, me, for example, when I do have the strength and when I feel like it and when I'm not feeling so great, I tend to do something productive. Maybe go to the gym, use all of that anger, that pent up depression, or whatever it is. I use that or harness that emotion and work out or meditate or whatever it is. What I want to remind you rather is to make sure that you harness your negative emotions to do something productive, which means that these pessimistic moods can actually activate the reward center in your brain. Okay, so make sure that you use your negative emotions. If every time you feel like like you have a lot of negative energy inside, you do something. I don't know, maybe clean your house, do some household chores, or just to work out. And it doesn't have to be going to the gym to work out. I know that is not a possibility for a lot of us, but maybe just skip at home. Whatever it is, use these negative emotions, negative energy, and use it to do something productive. Now, the next thing that I do want to talk to you about in order to stay creative in these monotonous moments in life is how you can engage in an expressive outlet. According to so many studies, these studies essentially have shown that expressing yourself through art can help you manage stress and anxiety and even improve your health. Okay, so what you can do essentially is to figure out something that you absolutely love to do. It could be something like painting, something like collecting, I don't know, cars or stamps or whatever it is, figurines, whatever it is. Figure out something that you're super passionate about and something that you genuinely love to do, not because somebody is forcing you to, not because it's trendy in society or it's hyped up by social media, but because you truly feel happy doing this particular thing. And then I want you to use this as an expressive outlet. Use it to tap into things that you didn't know existed inside you. And use it to tap into this new community of learners, lessening your isolation and opening up to a new and novel experience, to say the least. Now, say, for example, you figure out that you like to collect stamps. You can connect with other people who love to collect stamps on the internet, on social media, and that is going to open up you up to this whole new community of people. And that is going to help you to use that form of hobby or art or whatever it is as an expressive outlet. Now, the next thing that I do want you to do in order to stay creative in these trying times is to get into a flow state. Have you been so completely immersed in an activity that you lost all sense of time? For me, it's when I read books, when I flip through pages, I completely lose track of how long it's been. And I know for some people it's movies, for some people it's social media, whatever it is, creating content, whatever it is, figure out some activity that you can give all of you into, that you can immerse yourself so much so that you lose sense of time. Now, this mental state essentially is called the flow, and it's defined as being completely involved in an activity for its own sake. So make sure that you cultivate a flow state without intentionally trying to be creative. Think about the moments when you're most likely to lose track of time. What are you doing in those exact moments? Is it going for a run, reading a good book? Whatever it is, I want you to observe your own life patterns and figure out what works for you the best. And then get into this state of flow where you are absolutely immersed in an activity, and that is definitely going to get your brain juices flowing. Finally, I do want to remind you to broaden your network. Broaden the people you interact with. And I know you have to adapt because you can't really go out anymore. You can't really party or interact socially like you used to, but that's okay because life throws challenges at you all the time. But what's important is that you find ways to adapt and to move forward. Find ways that you can adapt, figure out ways to connect with people on a digital platform, and make sure that you make new friends, that you have new conversations so that you could keep that creativity flowing. Now, with that being said, I'll be here with you for quite some time speaking of some very, very interesting things. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio.